Hello, hello, hello. This is Els coming to you from Beamish Crafty Corner. And today we are going to be making a file folder folio. Okay? So you're going to need a file folder, or at least, the better part of a file folder. You're going to need your envelope punch board if you have one. If you do not have this, I will show you how to get the same effect using a circle punch, a trimmer, and I prefer the kind where you can actually see and you're going to be able to plunge and cut. If you don't have this, then a metal ruler and a grid board and a straight razor will work. You're going to need some decorated paper. I'm using Tales of You and Me from Prima on this one, and a scoreboard. Then all your regular tools, okay? Alright, so we're going to get started on this. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our file folder with the fold side up against our top of our cutter. We're going to be cutting this at 6.5 inches. So just want to get this lined up, 6.5, and we're going to cut that portion off. Now we can hold on to this because we're going to use the rest of it here in a minute. So now, in order to get this right, we're going to be cutting this down to our size. So we're going to be trimming off the open end, okay? And we're going to be doing that at 6 7/8. I know, weird, right? But just one mark right before that 7, okay? We're going to cut that off. And from here on, we're pretty much going to be doing just some scoring. And we'll bring our cutter back in a minute just to finish up some things, okay? Now, if you can avoid this, avoid that, right? You want to have a piece that's nice and clean on the inside. So let's take a look at our piece here. And the first thing we're going to do is on the top flap, whichever one is your top flap, you're going to cut a 1/2 inch off. So you're going to put this into your trimmer at the 1/2 inch mark, and you're going to slice off 1/2 inch. Okay? Then you're going to put this into your scoreboard, and we're going to be making a couple of quick scores. So, with the short end up against the edge of your scoreboard, you are going to be scoring this at 2 3/4. There should be a natural score at 6.5, and then you're going to score again at 9 3/4, okay? Now, when you fold this in, you're going to see that it leaves this little bit of a gap between where your piece is and where the edge is, and that's okay. Then we're going to take this, and we're going to put it in with the bottom facing towards the 0. We're going to put a little knot at 30. We're going to turn it again, and we're going to at 3, excuse me, we're going to put a knot at 3 and a knot at 3, and we are going to actually cut off between those 2 points. Just slice that off, all right? Now, we're going to have a bit of a decoration here, so I want to talk about this real quick. In order to create this, we're going to be using an envelope punch board. We're going to put this in at the 1/2 inch. So we're going to line it right up to the 1/2 inch and punch a hole. Then we're going to turn it over, and we're going to go right back to that 1/2 inch mark, and we are going to punch a second hole. Okay? So now we have this kind of weird thing here. That's where this trimmer is going to come in. We're going to place this into the trimmer so that the cut line is right at the pocket. And we're just going to cut down until we don't feel any more resistance. Okay? And that's going to remove that center piece. Now, if you do not have an envelope punch board, but you still want to have this effect on your pocket, that's not a problem. I'm going to show you how to do that. So the easiest way to do that, and we'll just do it on a piece of scrap, is to use a circle punch. The one I'm going to use today is a 1/2 inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure in on both sides here, just using a ruler. And I want to go in a 1/2 inch. So I'm just going to lay a ruler up against it. And I'm going to put a mark at, let's say, 1 inch. And then down here at the 5.5, because that's an inch in on either side. And then I'm just going to take my circle punch, and I'm just going to do a 1/2 round punch with that little spot in the middle. And then I can put this into my trimmer, or use a ruler and a straight edge, and use a straight razor and just cut this off, okay? So let's go ahead and cut it off with a straight razor. So what I'm going to do is just start at the bottom of this one and cut till there's no resistance. And that gives us that same look, okay? Easy peasy. Okay, now we are going to cut some additional pieces. Let's talk about those really quick. So the first one we're going to be cutting is a pocket for the back. This will fit on the back portion here. And so we're going to cut this pocket 3 3/4 by 3.5 inches. So it's 3 3/4 inches by 3.5 inches wide. And that's going to be our pocket on the back. And then we're going to have some cards that are going to go into this pocket right here. And so to create these, we're again going to be using the envelope punch board. If you have a tab board, you can use the tab board. If you have just the circle punch, you can use the circle punch. So for these, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in sort of at the end here, and I'm going to make sure that the paper is right in the middle of the punch window, and I'm going to punch, and then I'm going to move it down to about 3/4 there, the 1 3/4 mark, and I'm going to punch again, and that's all I'm going to do on this one. And then I'm going to put the next one in. Now these are 3 1/4 inch high by 6 inch wide, and all the measurements are in the instructions for this. So for the next one, I'm going to come back in, and I'm going to go to that 3/4, but I'm going to move over to 1 1/4, and I'm going to punch a hole, and then I'm going to move it over to the 3. So I'm at 2 1/4. Now I'm going to go to 3 1/4 because I want that to be a 1 inch wide piece. Maybe 1 1/2, 1 1/4 inch wide. We're going to put another one in here, just a little one. And then we're going to be putting one on the other side. Again, on this one, we're just going to turn the card over. We're going to come in at the midpoint, and then we're going to move it over, and we're going to make this one mirror this one. So again, we're at that 1 3/4 mark. We'll poke a hole, and now we have 3 tabs, one in the middle and one on either end, and we're just going to cut this off the same as we did for the pocket. Then we're going to go ahead and ink everything up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these cut off, and I'm going to ink up some pockets, ink up some pieces, and I will be right back. Okay, so we have inked everything. I've inked across the top and down the center line. I have inked down all of my seams here, here, and here, and all the way around all of my outer edges. Okay, so when I bring this in, everything is nicely inked. So let's talk about the mats that we're going to need here. So we're going to have 2 mats. These are going to go inside. Okay, these are going to be our base pieces, and these are 2 2/4 by 6 1/4, and they fit in here quite nicely. We're going to be gluing those down, and then we're going to be closing this over and gluing these pockets down. So at this point, we need to mat the pockets. So in order to do that, we need to cut a piece that is 2 1/2 by 6 1/4, and you're just going to mirror that slice that we put on the pocket. And then on the other side, we're going to be cutting a piece that is 2 3/4 by 5 3/4, and we're going to be putting that same dip in the pocket. You're going to be doing the exact same thing on the punch board, only when you put it into the punch board, you're going to be moving it 1/8 of an inch over. Then when you turn it over, again, you'll line it up where you had it, and then move it 1/8 of an inch over, okay, towards the punch. All right, so that's going to give you that perfect 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So now we have the front and back. Let's work on the front because that's the easy part. We're just going to be cutting a piece of paper that is 2 1/4 by 6 1/4, and that's going to fit right there. And on the back, we'll have another piece of 2 1/4 by 6 1/4, and then we have that pocket that we cut. So the pocket will then go on, and then we have the pocket cover, which measures out to 3 3/4 by 3 1/4, and it's going to go right on here. And you're going to want to glue this down first so that you can punch a hole in here and then ink this up, okay? And now we're going to talk about the cards. So we have 3 cards that we punched in our punch board to make our 3 tabs, and these will fit very nicely without getting caught in the fold. And so we're going to be cutting some pieces for those, and the 3 pieces for these are 2 3/4 high by 5 3/4 wide. We rounded the corners on these because we rounded the corners on the cards, and these fit very nicely on our cards, and we're going to be doing a full set of these, and they're going to go in the inside pocket. Now, we're also going to be cutting a tag to go in this pocket, and we're going to be cutting a tag of our choice to go in this pocket, okay? So, however you want to do those pockets is entirely up to you. So, I'm going to go ahead and start gluing all of my mats down to my actual piece, and alright, so as you can see, I have everything glued down, and there's just a few things about the finishing that I want to show you. The first one is the ribbon. I used some Fabri-Tac just to put a piece of ribbon across from end to end. It's a solid piece of ribbon, so I don't have to worry about it going anywhere. And then I just glued my mats down. Now, here I decided that I needed to put a plate on it, and I wanted to give it a little bit of a lift. So I did use dimensionals on this, and this is just a punch that I have that has this shape. And this is the Prima rub-ons collection, and this is the reflection set, and it just says memories, and I thought it was very fitting and the color matched, so I wanted to add that piece in. Now, I did make several tags, one for the outside back pocket, one for the inside slash pocket, and in making the tags, first I started off with a piece of handmade paper that I just put through my Xyron and turned into a giant sticker and put it on the back. And when I was putting these in, I thought, you know, this really needs to have the finger loop. It doesn't need it for the tag, but for aesthetics it worked. So I did that, and then I noticed that this looked really naked. And so I decided I was going to make some reinforcers to put on the tags, and I have one on each tag. So let's talk about the reinforcers really quick because they're very simple to do. All you need is a piece of scrap paper in whatever color you want to use, and you just punch a hole the same size as the hole that's in your tag. For me, that's 1/4 of an inch. And then I have a 1/2 inch circle punch, and I simply center it around there, and I pop it out. I make 2 of these, one for the front, one for the back, and then I just take my glue, and I put a little bit of glue on it, and I just put it on my circle, on the front, around my hole, and one around the back, and it just reinforces it and gives it a more finished, professional look. So that's how I do that. Now, I decided that this pocket needed to have some space. You know, it needs to have some room in case I want to put some journaling cards or something in here in addition to the tag. So I did not glue down the outside edge. So this was intentionally left open so that you could, you know, slide things into this pocket here. Now, we'll talk about these cards really quick. They are also lined on the, you know, they have lined paper on the back. And when I was putting them in and out of here, that was very tight, so I decided this pocket, it needed to be gusseted. And so to do that, I will bring in some other items real quick and just go over how to gusset the pocket, okay? So, we're going to bring in, we have a few things here. One, we have our scoreboard, and we're also going to be using a cutter for this because we need to create a 1-inch strip. So let me go ahead and put this folio to the side. Get this out of our way. And we'll bring in the cutter. So we're just going to take a scrap piece that's left over from the assembly. And I'm just going to cut a 1-inch strip here. And then I would put this into my scoreboard. And I would score this at a 1/2 inch. And again, if you want to fold this by hand, you're perfectly capable of doing that, I'm sure. But I like to have that crisp piece on the edge there. So once I have that folded, I'm just going to take my bone folder and I would then burnish that. And I would then measure how deep of a piece I need here on my pocket. And once I have that, I would just cut it down and then miter in my sides so that when I put this in, it doesn't affect the bottom or the top. And because I don't want this to show, I don't want it to stand out, because if I put this in there, as you can see, you're really going to tell it's there. I go ahead and I just put a little bit of my ink on here. And because I am using Distress ink on this, it does react to water, and glue is water-based. So I don't want to go too deep with this, but I do want to make sure that I get enough glue on here that everything adheres. Then I would adhere the bottom piece down first on both sides, and then put some glue on the top and fold this over. Okay? So, that's it, guys. That is my folio all done. Tie it up here with a nice little bow. And it's complete. So, if you haven't done so already, do me a favor, hit that red button for me and subscribe to my channel. Then like me, ring my bell, and share me with all your friends, because I'm making some memories. And this file folder folio. Till the next time, guys. Bye-bye.